Welcome
to Jerkin Around. See, I'm going to try to be appropriate again.
Yeah.
But it's really hard.
I know.
Like, because my funny is to just be inappropriate.
I know.
But when you do Google Jerkin Around, there's quite a few things that pop up.
Oh, is that
yeah,
what you did?
because we started a YouTube. If you want to watch this live on YouTube and backtrack, it's live. So I went to look at it, and it was all like 20 household items you can use to jerk.
Oh,
and
like,
I was like,
you Googled our podcast name.
Jerkin Around.
Yeah.
And it taught you a lot of things. So, so if you're Googling Jerkin Around, Jerkin Around podcast.
Yeah.
Not Jerkin Around the kitchen. Because they have items, household items.
Yeah, anything interesting
you can use.
were
I didn't click on it.
about?
I was so disturbed.
Yeah.
I was like, already kids can't listen. Now when you Google us, this is what, oh God, we're still licking.
Oh.
What do you need, a drink? It's like when Broxton licks his lips. It's like wet. And then they're like wet.
They're so chapped.
Do you need chapstick?
We went on the trip and I didn't drink much water. I drank some drinks. So I'm so dehydrated.
I hate that feeling. But it's like the pointy tongue. Oh, and it's like really wet.
Is it?
Yeah. It makes
Dana
feel different.
Do I say anything?
Oh my God, we're just being normal.
Oh, jerking around.
Do you want to get your headphones? We'll nail
Crystal takes her shirt off. Stick around. Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Jerkin Around. A podcast with Teisha and Crystal. The feedback we're getting on the nails, my cousin sent me with some a nail set for you.
Oh,
isn't that cute?
That was nice.
I know, I have it in my fanny pack. I'll give it to you.
These people really want to help me.
They do. I think they feel like you're abused by me. But I'm the one wearing the bright orange shirt today, and she gave me a dirty look. But it's fine. It's the bodysuit from Shein.
It's fine. It's cute.
Shein.
Yeah.
So, in real news, I didn't have the best day today. I got some bad news about a family member, and I wanted to cancel so bad.
Yeah.
Because Teisha cancels when she's not in a funny mood. But
I try to. You don't let me.
Well, you did the one time. You haven't done it since. And then Teisha and I have had fights when we're in a bad mood or stressed. And Dana's had to edit those out very thoroughly. You guys haven't been able to fully experience them. Like, we've laughed. It's awkward. Not like the break, but it was still, we were just stressed. Because we know it's hard to be honest and real all the time.
I don't think it's a fight. I think it's more of just an uncomfortable...
Like a marriage disagreement.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, there's a lot to say about that topic too. But, so anyways, I didn't want to cancel because you got to stop licking them. My stomach is already upset and it's like, oh.
Oh, the licking is hurting?
It's grossing me out. Like I'm going to throw up.
Oh, that's very kind.
No, it's just like, look at me. It's like, oh, like the saliva. You know, like how saliva smells? Like I can smell it.
I don't think it's like I don't think it's
like a real, like a wet kisser.
Her example,
like a wet kisser. Yeah, it's the same. You're looking at me and going,
oh, I've had a wet kisser before.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
And after you're like, I hate the wet kisser, you know?
Ugh, that's how I'm feeling. I'm like going back to that saliva.
Yeah, I hate a wet kisser.
Yes, and it's like on you, and it's like, oh, that's how I feel with the licking. Oh,
I can't stop.
So, anyways,
they're so chapped. It hurts so bad.
I know. Do you need chapstick?
I do. I ordered some from Amazon. I need some.
I mean, I have some.
I know.
I'm just not gonna look. I'm gonna look at Dana. So, anyways, it's been a bad news week. Like we've had quite a few. We had news about another family member. 2 family members now have cancer, and our pool cracked. It's the worst thing. I gotta show you it. It's like so bad. So it's just one of those weeks where it's all turning. So I didn't want to record, but we were like, we so want to be real and authentic. Yeah. Just like those fake influencers when you're like, you're having a bad day and you're faking that you're not having a bad day because you want to show everything's perfect. And we just don't want to be those people. No. So, or if when it's not as funny.
Last year was a rough year and I'm all.
When was it a rough year?
Yeah, it didn't look like a rough year.
Or the divorce.
Yeah.
When you're like, wait, how'd you get divorced? You look so happy.
Yeah.
So today we're not getting divorced, but I'm just not in the best mood. Speaking of divorce though, Kyle Richards, licking. Kyle Richards, I've been dying. Well, Teisha and I have already talked about it, and then we had to stop talking about it because we wanted to save some for the podcast. But
yeah, what do you think?
I am so obsessed with.
I haven't watched it the last
I'm obsessed
couple
with Morgan.
years. I haven't watched it since
kind of like
2020.
G-Flip. It's like weird. Her songs are in my head. Have you heard her songs? They're so good. Her voice, it's so good.
You haven't played them for Teisha yet?
I feel like Crystal has a thing
Oh my gosh,
for,
I think
like,
I might. It's getting
musician
weird.
lesbians.
No, I kind of get it. I'm like, ooh, they are good at the guitar. I always liked a guitar guy. Like at church camp, when we'd be singing by the fire, I was like, oh, I want my husband to play the.
You do love a live music guy.
I do. I love.
Oh, she loves
like
a live
a
music
raspy
guy.
voice with a guitar and a girl with tattoos.
What's his name? The char guy that does the auction. You love him. She loves the guitar, live music.
I do love my live music, live band.
Live music.
That's what's weird that I don't like concerts. because I love a live band and a guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, the Psychopath. You guys.
Oh, is this?
Yeah. This song. It's so good. Anyways.
I feel like hers is better than G Flip.
Really?
It sounds.
Oh, her voice is so good.
Yeah, her voice is better. I mean, I'm more into that style.
She
of music.
plays it acoustic on Facebook. I've been down the dark.
We really.
So it was really interesting though. So the night we went to on the trip this week to Tahoe, and there was some gambling that took place, as you witnessed on the video Teisha sent. I didn't win as much as I wanted to. Teisha actually left a winner. And she did gamble till 2 a.m. Let's just say that to our listeners.
The last night. They left a day early.
Yeah, we left a day early.
I didn't gamble. I didn't gamble the whole trip. I gambled for like an hour one day with Crystal, and it was horrible. I lost like $60, and I was like, this is stupid. I'm done. Then the last night, they left the day before us. We stayed one day later. Okay. So they left. The last day that we were there, we stayed for the 4th. And then we went down to the casino, just us, and I had this like feeling I was gonna win.
That's what I have every time.
It was like a vibe.
You act like it's like this new thing that happened.
It was for me though.
Yeah, you've never had that?
Never.
Oh, that's what happens to me every time.
It's not fun when you don't have that. It's very
stressful
and boring, and like I'm just throwing money away. I might as well just be ripping this 20 in half. And
that's what happens to me every time. I'm all, today's the day.
I kept being like, I think I'm gonna win, and then I just kept winning.
Yes.
And it was like crazy. At one point, I was up to $400. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's a pretty good win. And then your adrenaline's going the whole time.
And it was like, I wanted to almost be done because it was getting so late and I was tired, but then I kept winning and I was like, so I was literally like, oh my gosh. And then every time like it hits, it's like, it spikes your adrenaline and then you feel like you're just like.
I know. It's weird.
I'm like, I'm the chosen one.
Yes.
Like, it's really weird.
We talked about it too.
Like God picked me to win this. Like God doesn't care that I'm gambling.
No.
He's probably, if anything,
that one
he's
you're
not
right
happy
about.
I'm gambling.
That one you're right about. You know when you say God doesn't care, this one he doesn't care. But I do pray. I'm like, come on, God, please.
No, I feel like
I
he's
pray the
almost
whole time.
like, why are you doing that? You
No,
know?
I don't.
It is.
It is a new addiction. But you're not thinking of anything else but winning.
I was like, holy cow, I'm just winning and winning. And then it was like one spin, $80, another spin, I was like, what?
She usually wins like $10. She's never had the win.
Never a big win.
It was like it
win.
wouldn't stop winning. So, then she kept winning again.
I kept winning. So I ended up leaving at 300 and I was like beside myself.
That's amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
So I think that why I'm a gambler, we talked about this, is because I'm a positive person. So I always think like good things are going to happen.
Yeah.
So I always think I'm going to win. I'm like, it's all going to work out.
You
know?
know? And I'm like very more realist. And I'm like, you're not going to win. You're going to lose everything. That's more how I feel. I'm like, this is a waste of money and your life and, you know.
Yeah, and I'm all, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Just keep spinning and you'll win.
But when I was the chosen one that night, I was like, I'm going to win the jackpot. There's a $15,000 jackpot.
Yeah.
I truly thought I was going to win the jackpot.
I feel like I walked away from it, but it's fine. But you guys.
I still feel like I walked away too, but I didn't. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. And you're like, maybe it is us, you know? It's so good. So anyways, but there's a picture of G Flip and Crystal. So those of you that don't know, Kyle Richards is married to Mauricio Umansky, right? And they have she's on the Real Housewives, and then he's on now selling Beverly Hills with their family. And Kyle Richards, everybody has always said they're the perfect couple. They want to be like Kyle Richards. Their family looks perfect. I've always thought something was up. I was always like, something's up. Like it's almost like, you know, when things are too perfect, something's up. Like, that's what I like about you and Ben, and I'm not being rude, is like, it is good, but it's not like so perfect. You know the people that it's endearing, but it's not rainbows every moment.
Oh, like I'm yelling, yeah.
Yeah, like.
On the boat, we gotta tell about the boat.
There were so many things, but like theirs wasn't that. It was like this perfect thing for 27 years in Hollywood.
And she was so obsessed with him. I'm like, no one's not obsessed with her husband.
Yeah, and like. Yeah.
He is really cute. Crystal's
I don't think he's cute at all.
I like
not
foreign.
at all.
I'm into the foreign vibe.
See, I'm not into that as much.
He's very foreign. What is he, Italian?
No.
Something.
He is
It's Hispanic. Like yeah, we know you're into the Hispanic.
I'm into the foreign. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Ushi, for some of those listeners that know this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a nickname from one of her ex-boyfriends.
My very first boyfriend.
And then we have another Hispanic too. You're into it. You're into it.
I know.
Isn't it funny how you marry not your normal type? Like Kyle, I like short, stocky, buff. Like not Kyle. But like I love him.
Yeah.
But it's not
Totally.
I've never dated a tall guy in my life, you know, ever.
Yeah.
Like I always like
and I
shorter.
feel like the guys I dated were like not as attractive as Ben. I feel like
Not at all.
Ben's
You dated
super
some
cute.
real. So I don't think he's groundbreaking, but they're so happy together, blah, blah, blah. The housewife curse, she was always like, it's never going to happen to us. So Psychic years and years ago, told her that he would never emotionally fulfill her. And it was like this ongoing thing because the Psychic.
It was that Alison Dubois, like that big celebrity psychic.
Well, there's been a few on Housewives on different seasons that have said things like this, and it
that was the only
always
one I saw.
comes true.
Yeah.
Always. Another one told Ramona Singer that her husband was cheating.
Do you think it's like self-fulfilling prophecy?
No, I don't know.
I think it's just obvious.
Yeah, who knows? I'm not going into the psychic world, but the point is, it's just she's still looking. It's just
I
like
notice it. I even notice it.
So it was just so crazy. Everybody's going back to that. So we're going to bed after gambling in Tahoe. You know, I won that night, so I was kind of on a high. Yeah. Like I had won like a lot for me. Like I was up 600, and so I couldn't go to sleep. We were out till 2 a.m. The boys were gambling so funny. They're so funny together, our husbands. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't go to sleep, and on like a random Instagram, it was like Kyle Richards leaving her husband for a girl, Morgan Wade, and I was like, what? So sure enough, I went down the rabbit hole till 4 a.m. reading about this. So the next day, Teisha and I are at the beach, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to tell you. And I was showing her the rabbit hole. An hour later, it breaks.
Like, broke.
We got to it before it broke.
Oh
yes.
gosh.
Where we didn't really think it was true, but kind of true.
Yeah.
It was like, these are weird, but it wasn't like it was a thing.
It wasn't. It was on one girl's page randomly.
We were like going on her page, deep diving on her daughter's
Now
pages.
everyone's talking about her page.
Yeah.
And then she posted some GIF. Did I do that? Have you seen it? It's so funny. Like this girl, and it's like the story, and it's like, oops, did I do that? She totally did that. Like she totally did it. It was that page.
Did you see though? They said it's just an emotional affair.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's all that is. No one's like.
I don't
maybe
think
there.
any of that is true. I think it's try to save face. Like it's not an emotional affair. They've done some. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not. But Kyle, again, why she posted no wrongdoing on anyone's part.
Yeah.
Kyle really cares what people think. And so she doesn't want people to think she cheated on him because that would make her look bad. So it's an emotional affair, which if a guy was having an emotional affair,
is worse.
it's just as bad.
To me, I think.
And I mean, and that's what we talked about. This is going to be spun as like, good for you, like staying true to yourself, which is fine, but it's still hurting someone and hurting a family.
And you're breaking the vows of your marriage.
Yes.
It's like, I don't care if it's with a dog. Like, you don't break them.
I don't think people are doing that.
No.
You never know. Britney Spears with the dog that day, it was so weird.
So weird.
Oh my gosh. Somebody should shut her. And that's when you know something's wrong.
sad.
That people in her life are allowing her to post these things. But anyways, Kyle Richards. So I went
She's
down
not
to
gonna be around
Morgan
for a long
Wade.
time, I don't
Morgan
think.
Wade
We're
is younger
heading.
than her daughters. Like, it's crazy. And it's just sad for their family.
They have
Like-
a really cute family. Like, their daughters all work with the husband. Like, it's sad.
It is.
Even if
How old is their youngest now?
she's like 14 or something, you
15.
said? 15.
Mhm. I think 15.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so then the next day they post that they're all together, but Kyle looks miserable. And so Morgan and Kyle, I didn't get to tell you this yet, they did an Instagram Live, no, Amazon Live together a few months ago. It's an hour. I might have watched it. And like, they know so much about each other's life. It's crazy. And Morgan's kind of funny with her. Like, I was she makes fun of her a lot, and it's pretty funny. Like, she's all, Kyle, and she has this accent. I was all,
If Crystal starts talking with an accent, she is trying to win me over. I feel like why she keeps bringing up these like affairs with women to me. Like, look at what happened. Like, and
but
I'm
it's
all,
crazy.
All these people you respect are doing this.
Yeah, well, they showed a picture of Chriselle with G-Flip and then Morgan with Kyle, and it's like so similar. I wonder, like, what was she missing that she's now getting? And how does that happen? How do you go from that, like a man, to a younger girl? It's just crazy. And it's not necessarily the girl. If it was a younger man, it's not the same as a man that's like you've had a life with.
Right.
It's just so intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Like, what was the plug? But then when I saw the Instagram Live, I was like, okay. I think we all go through moments when we talked about this the other day. That piece, I think it's a break for, like, it's a fun.
Yeah.
The devil works in a weird way, like where he just takes over and makes it so appealing to go down this other road that you can't
Outside
think
of
straight
your marriage.
anymore.
Yeah.
Or
I think so.
Even in anything, like even when you eat bad, it's this endorphin. Even gambling, like it's this endorphin that takes over. That I know I should leave, but one more spin, and it's like you get lost in that high. And
I saw this thing on Instagram. It was like, nowhere in the Bible does it say, follow your heart, be true to yourself, like, you do you, blah, blah. It was like, it says that your heart will be deceived. And it's so true. I think that, like, nowadays culture is all follow your heart, follow your heart. And I think that, like, your heart might tell you to cheat on your husband. That doesn't mean that's what you should do. It's important to do the right thing and not what you feel your heart is telling you, because your heart is so
misleading.
Especially if you're having like a bad time with your husband. Like if you're going through a rough year because like people lost jobs. I mean, there could be anything. Health. There's so many things that happen that like mess up your marriage that it doesn't like mean that you're not with the right person. It just means you got to work hard to fix the issues. And but your heart might tell you
this isn't right for me. I'm done.
And your heart should tell you that. It's just how you respond. So when your heart tells you that, do you dig in and figure out what's broken and try and fix it? Or do you impulsively do something? Like
you're right. Do you lean on like your value base or do you lean on your emotion?
I think you should lean on your values.
Right. I'm saying, what do we do?
Right.
Yeah, because you shouldn't ignore it. That's a good point. But like some days, like I don't want to be a mom because they're driving me nuts and they're not listening.
Like some days I'm going to run off to Mexico, but I'm not really doing that.
But
if I was following my heart, I'd be like, I'm done with these kids, you know?
Yes. Well, and people do that, sadly. But I think that's where Kyle, I feel like she was a mom. She put everybody before herself. And I do think we talked about that before where there's that snap. What about me?
Right.
And I think she's going on, she travels with her.
Well, and then the second someone pays you some attention that maybe
in a different
you're missing.
way. Yeah.
Connects with you.
Yeah.
Right. Ken was like, can we get Crunchwrap Supreme today? And I wanted one so bad. But my heart was telling me that, but I shouldn't
made
do
those
that.
for dinner last night.
Oh, homemade?
And they were really good.
Really?
Yeah, because you had me with that whole talk about him. No, it's such a valid point because your heart does lead you astray. All my ex-boyfriends, I was like, well, just love them. You know, and I shouldn't have. My head was saying, that guy's not treating you right.
I'm like, yeah, he just went with that girl. They didn't really get it, you know?
He's just hurting. He didn't mean to sleep with her.
Exactly.
You know? He did. And don't listen to your heart. Listen to logic. But I do think sometimes, like, I get along with you so well. Sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's hard with Kyle. like I get that part of it.
Her trying to win me over.
Yes, and I can understand that part of it.
I am a little G-flippish.
Yeah, but like with you, it's just so easy. Like you get me, we understand each other. You know when to let me win, and you know when to fight with me. Kyle, sometimes I'm like, he doesn't understand. Yeah. Right now, I just need a minute. Yeah. You know, so I can understand how, but a girl is wired the same. Yeah. So I feel like you just understand each other differently. But what I need from him, I wouldn't get met with you. It's getting weird. Anyways, I just couldn't get over it. I can't get over it still.
I can't get over you broke this. You should go work for like TMZ.
I know. I showed you it. It was mind blowing. We like saw it before the news broke. But one of the old housewives said that Rodwin, who also went with a woman now, she was married, stay-at-home mom all the years. Did you ever watch? No, Broadway. So she's with a girl now. Her husband and her stayed married for a while she had a girlfriend. Because it's like the husband, I feel bad for Mauricio, like he doesn't know what to do without her. They grew up together. They were kids. Yeah. And so I think they're kind of doing that, like living together, still having each other as companions, but I think Kyle's kind of, I think it's not just about Morgan. I think it's like her whole life. Yeah. Like it's like this midlife, like find herself moment. But I think, I forgot my point. It was really stupid then.
I don't remember.
No. Oh, Broadwin said that People magazine worked closely with Bravo. So they wouldn't break it unless there was a reason to break it. Like they had to kind of get approval. Yeah. In a way. Like they don't just break it. They break it like, and I always trust like People and Us. I'm like, okay, it's real. Right. Yeah. You know, once it hits those two magazines, I'm like, it's real. You trust it. Yeah. So she said it broke for a reason, but maybe Bravo didn't want it to break before the season.
But I feel like they probably did want it to break.
Yeah, but they wanted it to break and then now
everyone's gonna
stay
watch,
there together.
I haven't watched it since like 2020. I stopped watching all reality TV, and then totally Vanderpump pulled me back in. Yeah. Now I'm gonna watch this season to see what happens. Yeah. It's like,
but there's a thing going on. I'm telling you, with Kyle doing it, it's gonna be like a thing. More people are gonna leave men for women. It could, but it's just intriguing to me. 27 years is a long time. It's like crazy. So was she always like this, or is this, I think it's just this girl, like, you know, G-Foot. She says she's only gay for me, you know. Could be that one person that
might have a singing career in your future.
I'm loving it.
It's just intriguing. I don't know if anyone else is intrigued by it. I'm mind blown about it.
I can't believe it.
So moving on.
I just really thought her and Mauricio were, I'm a little sad about that one.
A little? They posted their picture together. Teisha's all, I still have hope.
I do.
Let's pray for them.
I said let's pray for them.
I agree. Let's pray
It's
for them.
a
I always think
family.
it's better for a family to stay together.
Oh, it's a family.
I have
It's
a
gut
friend going
wrenching.
through some things right now, and she was asking me about it, and I just said, you have no idea how hard divorce is until you live through it. And I haven't gone through it, but I've been with people, and it's so hard. But life's just hard. That's this week. Life's just hard. Mm-hmm. It's all just hard. You never know when the next day is going to be something that, like the day before I blew out my knee in college and my whole world went to crap. I remember I was moping about something. I talked to you about this weekend.
Yeah.
I was moping about my boyfriend being out of town. I was in California. He was Phoenix. And I was so missing the moments around me because I was like, this sucks. And then my knee broke, and I had 3 surgeries that year. I was down for the whole year in college. They called me the sorority cripple. It was like a whole thing. I remember thinking of that day and go, I should have appreciated that day. Because I didn't walk for like a year. And I was like, I would do anything to walk right now. So I think like no matter, getting deeper, no matter what you're going through, even for me today, it's like our friend Megan, I think she doesn't care if I say this, but she's gone through some really hard things. And she said that whole year I was going through it, like nothing mattered. Like nothing, like lose my job, cool. This,
because she had already suffered the unimaginable.
Yeah.
And so it was like she was kind of great, wasn't she?
It was kind of endearing.
It was. She was
Because
awesome.
we all
She'd
get
be like,
troubled
I don't
by-
care.
Yeah.
Like whatever. What are you gonna do? Like sue me. Like it was
And we were like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's kind of puts you, and I do think when you go through something hard, you're more vulnerable, and I feel like you're really in tune with other people's feelings.
Yeah.
Like how I just teared up when I was talking to you. I teared up talking to Kendall today. Because you're more like, life can turn in a minute.
I always say that to Ben because I feel like sometimes he's like a negative Nelly. If something bad happens, I'm always like, oh, dang, okay, well, I'm not a dweller. And I feel like sometimes he's like, oh, negative, and I get mad at him sometimes because I'm like, you don't understand, like, we don't have a kid with cancer. We don't have one of us having cancer. Like, we have jobs. So, like, appreciate that this is our problem, whatever stupid problem you're stressed about, which is not a real problem, because there could be a real problem. And then you have something to complain about.
But why do you think you're like that? Why do you think you handle things like that? I know the answer, but
I don't.
Really?
Is this counseling?
Yeah.
I know.
I want the self-reflection.
You know?
I think I do.
Everyone
Yeah,
knows
you
but
totally
me.
know. Yeah, you don't know why you're like that?
Because I just am not emotional. I don't know.
Why are you not emotional?
I don't know.
Because you've been through some
went
really
through
hard
it.
things.
Yeah.
And I think when you've lived through really hard, you're just like more in tune with this is not that big of a deal.
It puts everything
Yeah, I think
But
that's why
I
you're
feel
like
like
that.
I haven't had hard compared to what some people have had.
You always say that. but
I don't
you've
want
been
anyone to
through.
feel like I'm like, oh, I've had it hard. It hasn't been that hard.
I know, but it's like a
like,
deflection.
it's not
This
that
is
hard.
called a deflection. But I know, but I'm saying it's still
Yes.
something. Like you've been through harder things than what maybe his problem was.
He hasn't had a lot of really hard things happen, so sometimes maybe that is true then.
Yeah, my sister-in-law has moments where she's like, even COVID, like the masks, she was like, Lincoln had to wear a mask every day of her life. We had to sanitize every day of our life. Like, this is the way we lived, and everybody's having such a problem with it. But I had to live like that. Like, it just like,
I
she's
remember
like, and
she said that once, like, because kids like organ donor, like if they're gonna get like a organ, they have to wear a mask to like.
Lincoln had to live like that. And Tana just, when you live like the way she had to live for those years, and still, it's so painful. Yeah. She just like, she hears people complain about certain things, and she's so cool because she's not outwardly like, I've been through this. Like, she doesn't throw that out when she could.
But she's so tough.
She's so tough. And she's
you
so
don't
humble.
even understand how tough she is.
Right.
Because she
And
doesn't
lives
act like
it.
it's a
She
big
doesn't
deal.
talk about it. She just lives it. And she'll, mildly say, I have to step away. I'm having a hard, like, this topic is so stupid. Kind of that same Megan.
Right.
Like, it's your kids, you're lucky to have them. Like, it's just such a different perspective that it's so painful, but it's a gift if we can learn from other people's experiences that, like,
because it's sad to
everything can
think
change.
that you have to go through something horrible to get perspective. But sometimes
we're all wired like that.
Yeah, I think it's just
the way I've always described it is like if you've ever gone to the optometrist for an eye check and he like flips the things and he's like, is that better or worse? Like, I feel like when you go through hard stuff, it's like that thing's flipped and you see it
differently
for the first time or differently.
Yeah.
And it's like,
what a great analogy.
I love
Dana.
that. That's
Don't you love
deep, Dana. Yeah.
That is deep.
I like that because I feel like that
Dana.
happened today.
Yeah, you better don't edit that out. That's amazing.
Our pool
I love
is
Dana.
cracked.
Dana's our third. Oh, we were thinking we should have Jerk Around with Teisha, Crystal, and Dana.
In little parentheses.
Yeah, that's what we said.
But you're
I said she wouldn't do it. She was trying to do it.
But you're back there. You don't ever have to get on here.
Yeah, it's not her thing.
No, it's Dana. She's our third.
No, but even the pool's a big deal. It's gonna be expensive.
Tell our listeners what happened to your pool.
So we put in a pool, and we have been, anyone that knows my husband, he's a landscaper by day.
Gambler by night.
Yeah, I wanted to say some things about being more appropriate today, but
Big Daddy by night, like.
Yeah, that's what it's something like that, you know. But he really is a perfectionist too, and we subbed out our pool ourselves, and we subbed out our house ourselves, and we subbed out our last pool. So it's not like it was our first rodeo.
Right.
Kyle's in the trades, his dad's in the trades, like he's pretty knowledgeable about that stuff. But we go to Tahoe, and then we get home, and our pool level's really low. And he's like, that's weird. So he filled it up, and then the kids go in the pool. It's on 4th of July. We had a few friends over, and Broxton's like, Dad, the crack is like 10 feet long. And like, I was like, and our pool literally is cracked, like the concrete.
Like all the way down the middle of the pool.
Oh my God.
And like all the way up the spa, all the way through the travertine, like the shell of it like shifted. And it was so expensive. So expensive. And we've worked to pay for it as we went. So we really, like, our whole year, like if we're being deep, like for a year, you know, it's been about the pool, right? And Kyle's like, the pool, we can't do this, the pool. But everything's been about the pool. And then we get home, and the stupid thing is like, all that work, all that time is cracked. But it's like, it's just a pool. Even though for him, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on his part. I didn't have to deal with it. Like when a deal goes bad, it's crushing. Like,
yeah.
And I make no money because I gave the money because of the mistake. It's crushing. But this week, it's like so clear. It's just a pool. It's just a thing. It doesn't matter.
Or how like you thought you had a problem before.
Yes.
And then now this is a real problem.
Yeah, and like we're sacrificing all these things for this pool. And I said to him last night, sometimes God puts things in perspective for you. And maybe subconsciously we're idolizing this pool, right? Like you put it on a pedestal. We got to struggle for the pool. We got to get to the pool. You know when you have that moment where you think once you get there, you'll be happy. Right? So it was that moment for him. He got his speakers in. We're getting somewhere. It's almost done.
Yeah.
We're going to be happy now. The pool's almost done. We can live. And I'm like, but why aren't we living the whole time? Like, why do we have to wait to get to be happy? Let's just be happy right now. Because tomorrow could have C and D that are way harder than today's problems.
It's like if I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
But like you could get your leg chopped off tomorrow, and then you'd be like, dang, I should have been happy with those 20 pounds.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose weight that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that happens to so many things. Like when our kids get older, once they walk, you know, like we'll get along. Once they're out of the house, this and that. I just think it's so important to like in that moment. And sometimes, like God is good, but sometimes life is just hard. Yeah. So I've had a few moments where praying was very hard for me. And there's 3 right now that just, they're very, like where I'm looked at as like this spiritual person. And it's like, I don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes it's just not fair. So I remember I had to pray with Lincoln before, and she was so sick. And I was like, I know I need to pray, but how do I get these words out? Like, I know you are good and I know we are thankful, but why is this so hard? And as a light, how do I explain this? You know? And like with Monica, our good friend, there was a really hard day with her family. And it was like, she looked at me and said, can you pray? And I of course, yes. But I remember I'm like, you got to take over because I don't know what to say because this isn't right.
Right.
What she had to go through wasn't fair. It wasn't right. It doesn't make sense. It's not always going to work out technically, but it does in a different way. But it doesn't mean that things aren't hard. I don't know. And today was another moment after the doctor. It was like,
well, I think that's
what
why
do you say?
Some people have such a hard time believing in God when they've gone through some really bad things. They can't understand like why that would happen if there was a God. And that's a valid thing to feel, I think.
What's so cool on the flip side is everything Tana went through made her faith
stronger. A lot of people
so much stronger. And it's like, how do you go through that and you get stronger? And she'll tell you, you know, I just know God's good and I know she's up there. And it's like, that's the kind of strength and that you're like, you really live like that. Like she really believes it. It's not something she's just saying. Like God gave us a gift of time of 18 months and that was our gift, you know, and however she says it, but it's like, I don't know. It's just hard. And I think that's something we don't talk about as Christians. And they did a series on it. Like when it doesn't make sense. And when there's nothing to say. Like today for me, there's nothing that's going to make anything better. And sometimes, like, because I'm a positive person, I think it can be annoying. Like, it's all gonna be okay.
I had that with my sister-in-law because I was like, I tend to always try to be positive.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a fixer.
Yeah.
I want to fix and I want to help them. But like, there was nothing positive to say. This just freaking sucks.
Yeah.
And so
that was today.
Sometimes it's just good though to just tell them and say, I'm sorry, this sucks. There's no happy.
But there's moments in Lincoln's journey that changed our life forever. And we haven't talked about that in this podcast, but we've talked about it before. Whereas Kyle quit his job, we changed our whole life because of watching Lincoln. So her ripple effect lasts for years.
Well, there's a choice when something hard happens. You can let it bitter you.
How weird.
Oh, how funny.
My sister-in-law's calling me.
You can let it make you bitter, or you can try to learn from it and try to find the good, or try to find the lesson and let it change you, because those things are meant to change you.
Yeah, they do. And I think they do. And so even with my uncle, when he had cancer and passed, there was moments that were so good and that trains you and you learn and grow. But the coolest thing happened today with my family member. She called her best friend. Not the coolest, but it just goes to show when you know it's a best friend. So she tells her what happened, and we're all in the car because we didn't know what to do with ourselves. We just sat in the car and cried and called people. And her best friend says, F, let's say her, I don't know if we're saying names. I don't want to offend anybody or get in trouble. That's happened enough, but F. And then she goes, I know, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, F, S, and just kept going. But it was like the perfect response because it's what she was feeling.
Yeah.
And then she goes, shit, and it's just like, sometimes there's not much to say besides that,
That's what it is.
Yeah,
there's nothing good. It sucks.
But have you ever... Have you ever, don't walk in front of me and, what's that phrase? Don't walk in front of me and be my something, don't walk behind me and blah, 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 but walk beside me and be my friend. Have you ever heard that?
No.
I know.
Yeah, what is it? Don't walk in front of me and lead me. Don't walk behind me and follow me, but walk beside me and be my friend. Do you know what I mean? I learned it growing up. And it's like sometimes people just need you to walk beside me. So basically why we're talking about this is I'm going to need you to stop yelling at me and walk beside me and be my friend. No.
We have proof that I've been getting yelled at all episode about licking my lips. I need you to stop licking your lips because my family member is sick and you're really...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Don't walk behind me, I may not lead. Don't walk in front of me, I may not follow. Just walk beside me and be my friend.
Oh, that's so good. We used to not... Let's post that, Dana.
Dana's always coming through.
I know. So...
Google, guys.
It's just the truth. Sometimes we just need to show up for people. But in those moments, I think you realize what really is most important, as always. And sometimes we've had the pool, and then I had another family member, and then this family member, and in my head I'm just I don't want to be too busy where I miss these moments.
Right.
And I can't, today I was able to drop everything and be there, and I know in these next couple months, years, that's going to be a priority. Mm-hmm. But it's just important. You don't want to miss those moments, but you don't want to say, we were talking about how busy we keep our kids. I want to be busy enough where they're not on their iPads or lonely or depressed, but I don't want to be too busy where they're used to so much stimulus that they don't know how to be alone.
Right.
So really, this is the other intervention. You need to slow down. Just kidding.
One thing I was going to add when you were talking about how Tana's faith grew in the trial, I think that a lot of times that happens because you see the miracles as you're experiencing.
Right.
Yeah. She said people came out of the woodwork, they were sent money. People paid for the love and the things that they saw. It changed their life. Yeah. Seeing how good God is,
and how He works through people. It's so. Yeah.
But there's that, also in the church, this is really deep today, but in the church service that they just did about heaven and what happens when you die, I think when you're faced with these moments, you realize how important it is to share the word. I'm not trying to be so deep, but it really is, because this is important that you know where you're going. Yeah. And you know where you're going, and we share that faith. That's deep, but it was just a wake-up call to me to make sure I'm doing that. But it's hard sometimes with life, and it's hard with family. Sometimes family's great, sometimes family drives you crazy. There's those ebbs and flows, and I feel like all that's coming to life. You know?
Since I didn't grow up Christian, quote unquote, and I feel like bad things happened to me as a kid, nothing significantly bad, but just hard times or whatever. I feel like when I found, when I became a Christian and found God and became a follower of Jesus, I had already experienced bad things. So for me, I've never understood that correlation of how if bad things happen, there can't be a God. Because I feel like when I became a Christian, it was finally it like made it better.
Yeah.
That I had experienced bad things, because although I had gone through things, I know there is a God and there's a perfect eternity.
Yeah.
So
this isn't forever.
And so it almost made it like better. So when sometimes I have a hard time, like when people don't believe, like I have a hard time kind of understanding that perspective.
I feel like that because I've always
like,
believed, and I'm like, what do you live for then?
Right.
So I'll offer my perspective.
Yeah, because I'm interested to know.
Yeah. So for a lot of people, and to some degree myself included, it's a feeling of I have God, I found God, I lived this life upholding Him, uplifting Him, and spreading, choosing the right, if you will.
Right.
And then this thing still happens. So
right.
I did all the things you told me to do, and I still had this experience.
Right.
And so that's what shifts or kind of fractures their faith.
Yeah.
The realization of like,
right.
well, then why did I do all those?
Yeah.
I had so much faith that which it's the understanding that it's not a checklist.
It's not these levels.
It's not these levels. You don't check the boxes, and then if I do this, then I get this. That's not how it works. And that's hard for a lot of people.
I grew up like that too.
Yeah.
And like you think if you believe you're gonna have an easy life.
No, if you make the right choices, you're gonna have an easy life.
Well, you're gonna have a better. I mean, you are gonna have a better life, but there's some things you can't avoid no matter what choices. you make.
I think when you're deep into religion, certain religions, even for me, it's like and I think this is daunting. This was on the Duggar special. Did you watch that?
I did.
It was eye-opening. It was eye-opening, and I could relate to a lot of it because growing up so involved with the church, like so involved where everybody knows when you go on Sunday. Everyone knows when you don't. Everyone knows if you're doing something in your personal life that you shouldn't.
Right.
And there's this mindset of don't disappoint God. Like you're personally offending Him if you choose the wrong thing.
Right.
And then there's this idea that you're going to be punished for it.
Right.
But if you don't do those things, then you shouldn't be punished and life will be good. But if you make those bad choices, then there's this understanding that these things will go this way.
Right.
So even with dating, and we're getting deep, this is an E, but I believed if I had sex before marriage, I would never be blessed with a marriage.
Yeah.
And it's almost like this, like it's how Satan, this is so deep, but divides you from God. Because the guilt and shame take over and you realize, you feel like you'll never be worthy of God's love. And so you turn away from God.
Right.
Because I already sinned. I remember when I first made a bad choice in college, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I was so disgusted. I was like, you are not who you say you are. I couldn't pray. Because I was like, how do I pray when I chose to go drinking?
Right.
And He knows I'm not supposed to. I'm going to be punished now.
Yeah.
And you can't like pray. You can't like, your faith is like turned off. It's like numb. So you want to run away from God because of your own guilt and shame.
Because you can't separate God and the religion when it's the religion that is
versus your relationship
to make you feel the shame.
Right. Because God doesn't.
God doesn't.
Yeah. And it's the sin that makes you feel it. It's like what you're actually feeling is a consequence of
the sin.
That decision, and you dwell in that. And I think that's what you say. That's what the Satan does.
But there's also judgers. There's very judgmental Christians.
Right.
And if you
are in a community like that, I can see that.
And if you're not careful, we all are like that. Like I know people who have maybe cheated, and then now they go to church, and it's like they're such a bad person. But like we're not perfect. No one's perfect. I sin every day. I worry about this podcast every day that it's too inappropriate and I'm a Christian. And people have always known me as a Christian, but I talk about sex.
I worry about that too.
I worry about it all the time, but I hope to somebody we're endearing that we're not perfect and we're only trying to be closer to Him. We're not trying to be the best Christian because I fall short of the glory of God. That's what grace is. And grace is so powerful because He accepts and loves us for who we are, not for what we do, but that's a maturity I feel like in faith. Like it took a long time. I remember, and I think I said this with my brother. My brother's always been a pretty straight-lined Christian. And he went to a Christian school and he did the things. He does the things. He never really went wild like I did. He did the things, right? They waited, it was all those things. And I remember sitting with him and I was dating some guy and things weren't going great and I was drunk and he said, here's where you are and here's where God's plan is for you. And he said, you can get there this way. It might be easier, it might be more enjoyable, it might be quicker. But even if you go this way, you're still going to get to where God wants you. And that was probably the first time I ever thought, I'm not punished. Like, because I didn't do it right, He's not going to take me away. I'm never going to get where I wanted to be. Because I thought God would punish us, but He doesn't. He loves us and His plans are still good. Even when we are bad, He is good.
But if you do make bad choices, there are consequences and things that will happen as a result of those choices. Like if I kill somebody, I am going to prison.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the road is harder, but that's life, not God.
Right.
And I also think that one vastly overlooked aspect of kind of the black and white, if you do something bad, there will be consequences.
Right.
Is when you face consequences from someone else's bad choice.
Right.
So someone else sins and then you suffer.
Right.
That's
and you're judged.
Where a lot of people are like, wait a
Like
second.
I did everything right. Why am I going through this?
Yeah.
Because you're
Like,
taught
that's
if you
where-
do it right, it's going to be easier and better and
Right.
faster.
And then it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Like, wait a second.
I think you can still make all the right choices, and like Tana still did everything right as a mom, and she still ended up with a baby that had something happen, and it wasn't her choices. It was just something that happened. So I don't know.
And that's where you have.
Well, I think that situation is different, more of like life hitting you.
Right.
Like I saved all my money, this and that, and I still lost my job and lost my house.
Right.
Why did that happen when I did
Or like my
everything
husband
right?
cheated on me. I waited till marriage. Yeah.
Yeah, I waited till marriage. I cooked dinner every night. I took care of the kids. Why did this happen?
Right.
I feel like different than Tana's more. It's like
Right.
just the everyday. Why am I,
Yeah. I mean, in the Bible, though, he never says it's going to be perfect. So I think
No,
it's
it never says it's going to be easy. He says, I will not leave you.
Right. So I think that, like, maybe clinging to that,
Totally.
not
The
clinging
party's
to...
in heaven, not here.
Right.
And that's like what's so cool when we called my brother today in the car
Yes.
crying. The first thing he said is, like, the
Yeah.
good news is
It's great news.
it's way better up there than it is down here. And you're going to be with, a love member that is already up there waiting for you. And this is not where we want to be. We want to be up there. And like people of faith,
Yeah.
when in a hard moment, you're able to just
Right.
take over. Like it's like when God speaks through someone, it was like, there's the light.
See, that's how I feel like I know bad things are going to happen. I'm worried all the time. I'm almost like 24/7 worried something bad's going to happen, like right around the corner. I am expecting something bad to happen. But I know that in heaven there will be nothing. So like it does not affect my belief whatsoever that I know tomorrow Ben could die or one of my kids could die or I could die. But I'm like, in heaven, it's going to be great. So it's so weird because it's like, I expect something bad to happen. So it's weird to me, even though I know I'm making good choices, I still feel like something bad's gonna happen. So I don't know if that's just from my past.
So is this why you won't let Fox wear sunscreen?
Exactly. No, but I almost feel like I'm always waiting for the bad thing.
You are always waiting. I don't know why.
I am. I don't either. But it has absolutely no effect on my belief in God. And I know it's almost comforting to me to know that in heaven we won't have any of this. Because I know we are going to. Like if you look at the statistics it's like 49% of people get cancer. It's insane. So I'm like, that's half my family. So I'm just like, it's going to be bad, but in heaven it's going to be great. So that's where I feel like I am encouraged to share to people to know, like, it's going to be bad here, but it's going to be great there,
And I do think in life when hard things happen, I think death is a different story, but I think like a lot of hardships that happened to me made me better in the long run, or I could see something good that did come out of something really bad.
I agree.
There's always like it kind of teeters with the bad and the good, and some of my best memories are going through some really, really hard things because of who I became because of that. Yeah. But it doesn't mean when you're going through it, it's any easier.
No, my stepmom had cancer. She's passed away now. She's not here anymore. But she said when she got cancer, and she actually recovered from cancer and was in remission, and then she died of like a brain aneurysm or something. Oh, it was crazy, like in remission. But she said after she got cancer, she was like, it was crazy. She was like, I wasn't living. It took me getting cancer to realize that I wasn't living. And it totally changed her perspective, like for the good.
That's funny.
It's just crazy.
It is.
I don't know.
I know
what point that makes, but.
And what would you change if you knew that? Like in retrospect, having the day I had, it's like.
I think that's why I don't sweat the small stuff.
My loved one said, I was at the casino. So gambling's very a thing in my family.
Oh my God.
So my loved one said, I was at the casino this weekend. I was feeling so bad that I lost so much money. She's like, I should have spent more.
Yeah.
But and the pool's cracked. I don't know. There's just so many things. Even with our kids, I get real frustrated, and I think that's my own thing. If they're not listening or they're not doing, I feel like I always make everything about me, and that's something I really have to work through. it's a blessing because I always think I can fix everything, but it's a curse because I make things about me that have nothing to do with me.
Totally.
Like Dana was being weird. Do you think I upset her? It's like, no, Dana had a bad day.
Yeah.
Teisha's
She
always
does do
this
that.
has
I'm like,
nothing,
it's
to,
nothing
do
to do with you.
And I'm not doing it to be vain. I just am like, I could fix it. I could.
And I'm all, that wasn't me. You're all, you rear-ended their cat. And I'm all, no, they're just.
Yeah. The person's all like to her, and she's all, so how'd you do? And
I'm all,
like,
gosh, that guy's a grouch, you know?
Yeah, and I'm like, they hate you. And she's like, no, they don't. I'm like, I think they do. It's pretty
But
clear.
then they end up not hating me. It's kind of
Because she just ignores it and just keeps going on like they like her. And eventually I'm like, oh. But like, she never notices when people hate her. I'm like, oh, they don't like you. And she's all, really? I'm all, oh yeah, you didn't see the look she was giving? She's like, no, I thought she was nice. I'm like, oh, she does not like you.
Oh, that's so funny.
You know?
I'm sorry about your bad day, though.
Thank you. And it's going to be okay. Sorry we weren't funny.
Okay.
I'm not that sorry, but I mean, live like tomorrow matters because it does. So
it totally matters.
Good luck to the crack pool.